Tom, thanks ever so much for joining us today. Let's dive in. Who else is with you at PULSAR, and can you introduce the key team members, I guess, managing the business?
So I've got some really great colleagues that I've worked with for quite some time. Our chairman, Neil Herbert. So I've worked with Neil in previous ventures as well. So he's a co-founder of PULSAR. And so with our chairman, he brings a wealth of knowledge, particularly from the financial side of things. So he's been involved in, I guess, some of the other sort of commodities which are sort of less mainstream. So helium being quite a new commodity to explore for. In the past, Neil's had success with uranium in particular and some of the other lesser known commodities. So with that sort of global success that he's had and that knowledge, it's certainly something that we benefit from a lot. Our other co-founder is Josh Blewett. He's our technical manager. And so I've been working with Josh now for over a decade. And his knowledge on helium exploration is really cutting edge. He knows certainly all the techniques and has tested them throughout the years and knows what works and what doesn't. So he's instrumental to designing our work program. And then in terms of the implementation of the work program, so we have our general manager for operations, Michael Sturdy. So he's got an oil and gas background. Those skills are very much applicable to helium drilling and operations. So he's the one that's out there, boots on the ground, and making it happen from an operational point of view. So in terms of the drilling operations, seismic surveys, liaison with government departments, so he's key as well. We've then got one of our non-executive directors, John Ferrier. So he is the former CEO of a company called Gulf Keystone Petroleum. So that's a company that's listed on the London Stock Exchange and is oil production out of Iraq. So he brings with it that operational experience. So we have a very experienced and actually quite diverse team as well. And on top of that, they're a pleasure to work with.
What sets PULSAR apart? What makes it different from other helium companies that are out there?
I think the main differentiator is that the two projects that we have, we're the first mover in each one, that they are new discoveries. They're both primary helium discoveries, so once again, that's where they're not associated with hydrocarbon production. We like going off to these frontier locations, let's call them, because we're really guided by the geology. So it's like, where would be the best places to go and look for this primary helium? Other helium companies out there, they've got a different business model, which is just fine. I'm sure that there'll also be, every chance of success, but their approach is going off to more established fields, gas locations where it's been drilled before and it may have seen some history of either helium or natural gas production, and then going back to those and reassessing them and saying, okay, now with the high helium price, is it possible to put those back into production? So for us, we go off to the frontier locations.
So I guess helium seems to be a hot topic right now. Can you explain why it's such a sought after commodity?
It's a combination of two factors as I see it. So one is that the shortage of helium, which has really persisted for about a decade now. The main reason for that is that aging gas fields, particularly in the United States, and so the production of helium is less than it was. Also, the US federal government had a reserve of helium, so a standalone reserve. That's now dwindled in size, and what remains is now being privatized. So that was the flywheel in the system, so to maintain, available helium for the market, and that now is being taken away. So with that shortage, we've seen an increase in price because of its scarcity. And that on top of that, we're seeing, so the second thing is new applications for helium. So, I always like to get party balloons out of the way. It's about 5% of the market share, whereas the rest of it, 95% of helium's uses, is for tech applications. And we're seeing more and more of those coming online. So it appears now that the major application for helium is in the fabrication of semiconductors, so computer chips. So it's essential for that, and we're only seeing an increase in demand for computer chips. The other one is a big one is space launch. So that when a rocket is launched into space, it requires quite a lot of helium, and that's in its fuel systems to maintain pressure in the fuel tanks as it burns fuel. For MRI scanners, so the magnet can superconduct. The new nuclear reactors that are coming into play, they use a lot of helium as well. Fiber optic cables. So really, we're only seeing that demand for tech applications for helium is increasing.
Tom, Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thanks for having me.